Hi guys, this is Katie, and if you are new here, my name is Katie and I am an international school teacher here in Bangkok, Thailand. And today I thought I would answer one of the most common questions that I ever get on here: how to become a teacher at an international school. Right, so my first tip when looking to move abroad is to look at your own education. So you can move abroad and teach if you have a degree of some kind. It doesn't necessarily have to be an education, but you can definitely use your degree to be able to go and teach English in many countries around the world. I will leave some really helpful links in the description if you're looking for those types of jobs. If you are looking to work at an international school, however, you will need to have some type of qualification in education. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a degree in education. You could have a degree and then get yourself a PGCE with QTS. So if you don't have that and you're thinking about moving abroad in the future, then that is something that you need to look at to begin with. And I will say, in my experience, I looked at moving abroad before I started my PGCE, and it was a lot harder to get English teaching jobs in a place that I really wanted to work in, or in an environment that I wanted to be in. So for me, I think a PGCE was the best bet. Right, it's the end of the day, I'm heading home, and that's one plus side. It's 3:30 and I'm heading home. Right, I am on my way home from work now. One of the benefits about working in the school that I work at is I finish at like 3:30, so it's nice to get home early. But that is my next tip, is once you've decided what type of teacher you want to be, whether it is an international teacher or teaching English, is then the fun part is to decide where to go. So for us, we loved Asia. We had travelled to Asia a few years before I did my PGCE. So we knew we loved exploring China and we loved Thailand. So that is why the first 2 years of my career, we were in China. And then we moved here because we wanted kind of a bit of a balance of more things to do. But you get to look anywhere in the world. So most major cities in the world will have some type of international school, and especially if it is in a country where English isn't the first language, there's going to be a lot of English teaching schools as well. But some great places if you are looking for really good wages are places in like the UAE, China, like anywhere in Asia, because cost of living is low. And there's a lot of really good international schools coming up in South America at the moment as well. So have a look around. Obviously you have plenty of really great private schools and international schools in Europe as well. But because the cost of living is a little bit more expensive in Europe, it depends on really what you're looking for. And also, I guess it depends where you're from, because you might want to be closer to home. For us, we love Asia, but that's the fun part. You get to choose where you want to apply to. And I would say make a list, because you might not get the first like city that you are applying for. So make like a top 5 list of countries or cities that you are interested in, and spend some time really looking at like, what is that city life like? Thank you. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is where to find jobs. So you know what type of job you're looking for and you know where you want to go, but now you need to find jobs to apply for. So there are some great websites that you can check out. So if you're in the UK, you might be familiar with TESS, which is the Teaching Educational Supplement, something like that. I'll leave all these links in the description below. But TESS have some great jobs abroad, especially if you're a British teacher. You can use websites like Teachaway. If you are looking for Asia, there's a website called Fabesia that will list some jobs on there as well. If you're looking for a British international school, there's a website called Cobis. The best time to apply for these jobs is anywhere between December to like March, because that is when a lot of these jobs get posted. If you are going to a really popular place, sometimes jobs are like announced in November time as well. But most of the time, this is the time that jobs are coming out. Right, I've got my lunch for tomorrow, I've got some bananas for breakfast. But one thing I wanted to add as well about looking for jobs is that it's easy to look obviously on job boards and stuff like that, but if moving abroad and teaching abroad is something that really is important to you, it does take some time. And for me, like when we lived in China, we loved China, but we knew we wanted to leave and we knew that we wanted to go to Bangkok. So for me, I actually went on like Wikipedia and searched international schools in Bangkok and got up a long list of all the schools. I opened up every single website and found the recruitment page or the jobs page on all of those websites. And I actually saved them as a bookmark on my computer so that every few weeks I could go back and open them all up and check. And if I'm honest, I lucked out and got my dream school. Like this was always my top choice school. But I also had other schools that I was applying for and interviewing for, so that if I didn't get this job, I would have another school to fall back on as well. So that is something that's really important, is to keep trying. Don't just apply for 1 or 2 schools, because these schools get so many applications each year. So it's important to just kind of like give yourself as many opportunities and chances as possible. I ordered too many things for Christmas, guys. Right guys, so I've just got home and I wanted to give you a few more tips for how to be an international teacher. So the next thing, and this is probably the hardest part, is to represent yourself and work out how to represent yourself to a school. Now there's 2 things that go with this. One, obviously you've chosen your destination and you've chosen the types of schools that you want to apply for. So you've found jobs, obviously that's kind of the key here. Now, the first thing you need to really work on is your cover letter. Your cover letter has to stand out, because most international schools will get hundreds of applications and they just don't have the time to interview all those people. I have always got interviews for jobs when I have been very specific with my cover letter. And I know that people they don't have much time on their hands when they're applying for numerous jobs. However, and this is why my first point comes into play, focus on the schools that you really want to go to, because there is no point sending off 20 cover letters that all sound very similar to each other and not get an interview for any of them. You are far better off spending the time applying for 5 or 4 or however you have time for, and really making sure that cover letter tells that school why you are the best person. So here's how I do this, and it's very specific, so kind of follow along if you want to. If this isn't helpful for you or whatever, then just skip this part. But how I write my cover letter, the first thing I do is I go to a school website. So I'm going to put some examples up of schools in Bangkok. None of these are my schools, just to clarify, just for safety reasons, but I've just found some popular schools here in Bangkok. So the first thing you want to look for is to find out the school's aims and ethos and mission statement. So it will be worded like something around this. It's normally in an about school section or about us, and you find the keywords that you can see being used throughout the website. So it could be something like inclusivity. It could be something like honesty or responsibility or respect. And every school will have a few keywords that it prides itself on. But then also, what can you bring to the table? Like, what skills specifically do you have that you think would work well in that school? And that's the biggest part here, is that it's one thing to tell a school what they want to hear and tell them what it is that you've done that links into their school. But also it's another thing to then be like, I am really good at this skill. I can do this, and this is how I can bring that to your school. Right. My last tip is the fun part. In every interview you have, you will 99% chance gonna have a question that is, why this place? So obviously you get interview questions that are like, why would you like to come to this school? What do you think you can bring to this school? Sometimes you'll get questions that are like, if this happened, what would you do? Or how do you reward children? Or how do you, what's your stance on behavior management? All of those types of questions you will get, and they're standard questions that you will get in any school. But in international schools, when they know that you're moving to a different country for that job, you will always get a question that's like, have you been to this country before? And why did you choose this city to apply for? And this is the fun part, because this is the part where you get to, one, research all of the pros that you're looking forward to, and then share that passion with somebody. And I think that's such a lovely thing, because everyone has a passion for being in the place that you want to go to, because they're there as well. So for me, make a list of, like, before you do your interview, make a list of the things that you know is what you love about that place. But also, just as important, is to think about the cons as well. So what is a con to moving to that place? But then think about how you're prepared for that. So for example, a con to living in Bangkok is how far it is from home. It is like an 18-hour flight from the UK if you're stopping over, and most flights stop over. If you're flying straight, it's 12. And in my interview I said, look, we're used to doing that. In China, it is just as long of a flight. So we are used to living in Asia. We are used to doing that. So by acknowledging the con and saying, well, I can do that because of this, they also know that you've looked into it, you've researched this, you're ready to move. And even though there's negatives and downsides to moving, you're ready for that and you accept that, and you're likely going to stay longer than your initial contract. And that is, if I'm honest, I think that's a big part of why people get jobs and people don't, is because they want to know that you're going to stick it out and stay, because the visa process and moving people over to the another side of the world is such an expensive part of an international school's job that they don't want people to come, do their 2 years and then leave. So yeah, I think that's kind of a key part in all of this, is to make sure you show in any interview that you're prepared for the move and that you have what it takes to do it. Anyway, those are some of my tips on how to become an international teacher. Let me know in the comments below, 1, where you want to move to, and 2, if you're already an international teacher, what's your tip? Like, what tip would you give someone who's looking to move abroad? Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sorry this hasn't been a very festive video today, but I shall see you very soon for the next Vlogmas video. Take care, guys. Bye.